So we're trying to film this horizontally this time to see if the video comes up any better when it's needs to be uploaded. But essentially, yes, I'm going to go running soon, but my hips are, oh my god, well, my body just needs to like chill. But I want to do something today as far as working out. But something has come to my attention. Okay, so we as a collective society are pretty shitty at allowing ourselves to express emotions, okay? Allowing ourselves not only to express them, to openly express them, whether that, you know, mostly let me just move this camera. Mostly I'm talking about more through like tears and stuff, crying, whatever, but it came to my attention, just recurring things. And one of them being, well, my own father and my own experiences, because how I process emotions, it's a little different. Well, it's not different. I mean, for me personally, if I get frustrated or upset about something, or if I feel hurt about something, or anxious about something, like, it will get to a point, it might like bubble up to a point where it's like, I feel overwhelmed, and you feel that pressure building in your chest, in your head, in your face, behind your eyeballs, and you just want to like let those tears go. Like, everybody's been like, just got my stuff here. Everybody's been, I'm sure, I guess frustrated, or like little trivial things in life just kind of pile up, and it's just like, when it rains it pours types of situations, where things pile up to the point where you're just like, even though you know in the long run, in like the bigger picture, like these things are very insignificant, but in the moment they're overwhelming, and it's like, why? Like all of these things, and it's okay to realize that they're overwhelming. It's okay that you're valid in how you feel. You can reframe them later and be logical about it and rational about it later. But like, you're allowed to let those feelings come out. You don't have to be like, oh, this is so trivial that it's not even, all these little things are so insignificant that it's not even worth me like crying over or whatever. But you feel the way you feel. And you're allowed to feel the way you feel. And don't discount the way you feel, and don't invalidate the way you feel. And don't let other people invalidate the way you feel. So, couple things. So if I get to that point and I let those tears come out, or like if I'm trying to, in this specific instance, last Sunday, I was over at my parents' house for my dad's birthday. We were having dinner, and I was trying to, he's always like, oh baby, like, how are you? How are things? And I'm always like, oh, I'm fine, whatever, because like, I don't want to get into it with him, because I know the way he is, and he's never going to change. So this time I was like, you know what, I'm actually going to tell him how I am. And so I told him how I am, and I wasn't doing so great at that time. And there was just a lot on my mind. And him being a psychiatrist thinks he knows everything. And so I'm telling him how I feel. And then he's saying like, oh no this, oh no that, oh no, you like whatever, this, that, and the other. You've always been that way about, because I was talking about like all the stuff that goes on in my mind, and like, kind of on my previous video, if you did watch it, I talked about how all the balloons going crazy in my mind are like my thoughts. It's hard to grab them because I'm so scattered at times. We're working on it, but no, you've always been that way. Excuse me. In school, in high school, and college, all these years, you always like would cry and complain, and you'd be so stressed, and then you'd cry, and then you'd come out and get an A. Okay, that's fine and all. He's like, this is just the way you process things, and I'm like, okay. Sorry, I'm gonna do some stretches while I'm down here. But that doesn't change the fact that I'm just expressing how I feel, right? And he's saying, no, this, no, that. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm telling you how I feel, but you're not accepting it. Like, are you trying to tell me how I feel? Because that's kind of what it sounds like is going on here. And I know I'm not the only one who has experienced things like this, where somebody else is trying to tell you how you feel. No. Like, I'm talking like outside of therapy, where it's like, when it's more of like a suggestion, like, could it possibly be this? Or let me invite you to the idea of this. Or here's just another perspective. But no, this is like one of those, like, sometimes we avoid sharing our feelings because we know that the other party is just going to discount it, invalidate it, overlook it. There are very two simple, straightforward things that we as humans need. We have a lot. We have our core fundamental needs, like the need for safety, shelter, stuff like, significance. There's things like that, purpose, whatever. But in any sort of, I guess, relationship, and we're not going to turn this into like a relationship therapy type of thing, but like that's actually something that I'm interested in doing. Communication and relationship. Oh, now I'm stretching. Oh, good grief. My hip flexors are so tight right now. I did legs yesterday and a lot of walking and I digress. This is some aminos and alpha amine from PE Science. There are two things that we need as humans, okay? In a relationship, or it doesn't even have to be, I'm not talking about necessarily like an intimate relationship, but like in any relationship, friendship, whatever. We need to feel heard. Yes, that's my, hey, I'm stretching. We need to feel heard and we need to feel validated. And I felt neither of those things when I was trying to express to my father how I was feeling when he asked me how things were. So this is why I never really told him. That's why I told him, I'm like, this is why I never tell you, because are you telling me how I feel? No. I'm like, so I felt unheard. I felt very invalidated in how I was feeling. Like, you don't have to agree with the person, like what they're saying. You don't have to agree with like their emotional response to the thing, but like you do have to acknowledge that what that person is feeling is real for them. Like, you don't have to believe it. You don't have to agree with it, but you can acknowledge that it's real for them and validate in them in the way they feel. I mean, you can tell them like it is and like really how it really is, but like first be like, I completely understand why you feel that way because of X, Y, and Z, and you're completely valid in the way that you feel. However, A, B, and C, X, Y, and Z. Just make sure that they feel heard. That's a whole talk for another day. We're not going to go down that tangent. So I felt very unheard and very invalidated by my father, who seemingly wanted to know how I was feeling. And well, I told him, and apparently it's not how I was feeling. Feeling so unheard, I was sitting at the dinner table there, and I mean, as a kid, they used to call me a crybaby. By they, I mean my whole family, because I would cry at the drop of a hat for like little things that did not necessitate that kind of response. But now I've gone through, like, obviously I've matured and I've gone through a lot of growth and you know, I've sought a lot of growth and development on my own for myself. I feel like my bun is being cut off. Should I like move? Is that weird? I wanted to do it like the other way, but like we're gonna try this. And I feel like I'm not even looking at the camera now, so that's like another thing. Whatever. We're learning. This is a process. Yeah, I would cry inappropriately, probably. Yeah, I would say that. But now I don't really cry often, only when I get to a point of like when I feel so overwhelmed that I have to release. Like, energy in your body, I mean, that's kind of like what Joe Dispenza says, like energy in motion, emotion, energy in motion, okay? So emotions, you feel, like you have thoughts and feelings, right, in your head, like I feel this way, but like your emotions are like felt in the body. Emotions are the language of the body. And when you feel that emotion, that like whether it's anger or frustration, you feel that like tightness in your chest and it's like inflating and like the heat in your head, or if you feel sadness, or in this situation I felt sad and frustrated because my dad was not hearing me and was not validating the way I felt, and in fact telling me the way I felt, and it was wrong. I would feel that swelling and that heat and that sadness, and I allowed it just to come out. Not like ballistic crying, but I allowed the tears to come out. And I just sat there quietly over my food, some additional salt, crying into my food. I just allowed my eyes to swell up, and I just allowed the tears to stream down. And that was it, because I know myself now, and I know that if I allow myself to feel the emotion and process through that, allow it to run its course, because it starts somewhere in your body. That emotion starts somewhere, that physical feeling. Allow it to come up and release, in this case through tears. And then I was able to move on, and be more logical about something, or I guess more or just more present in the conversation, I suppose. Instead of allowing an emotional reaction to take place, which is what happens in the past before I did more work on myself. I would react emotionally, cry, oh, you never understand me, you don't get it, you're not listening, blah, whatever. And then you try to fight fire with fire, and then it's just a whole mess. And so instead I just let the emotion run through me. And then I'm able to verbalize again to him, it sounds like you're telling me how I feel. Is that true? He doesn't know how to respond to that. But I'm in a more level place to communicate, to make decisions if it were another context. So the reason this comes up is because a friend just texted me, and she actually texted me earlier this week and asked if she could call me because she was having a little bit of like a panic attack. Because just little, they're not so little, they weren't really trivial, they were pretty significant things, as far as just like headaches to deal with, and like car issues, and then more car issues, and then like other things issues, and then it brings up insecurities in like her job and her life and all of that. Because when you're vulnerable at one point for like whatever reason, it's almost like you become vulnerable to all the other things coming in your way, like all the things that you have kind of like spinning in your head, your limiting beliefs. And then even if it has nothing to do with the situation at hand, the vulnerability, it just allows all those limiting beliefs to come in, and self-esteem things, and like self-efficacy things, and confidence things. So she was having, more or less to say, a pretty shitty week. It was a mess. And she was having a little bit of a panic attack, because when you start to actually sit there and think about all these things, and then something else happens, and you're just like, I can't anymore. Now, she ended up going to her boyfriend's place, and she felt better later, because here's why she felt better, and why she was able to, because these are all things that she could handle. Like, what I asked her was like, are these things that what steps are you taking to take care of these things? Are these things that are in your control to fix, or to remediate, whatever. Remediate probably wasn't the best word. Rectify, maybe. And like what she walked me, she talked me through I'm in the process of doing this, I'm in the process of doing that, and I have to wait on this, but I mean, it's in motion. So like, there's something being done about it, instead of being paralyzed with anxiety and fear and angst and panic. So, I should use a coaster. We gotta give the caffeine time to settle in. But yes, so she I texted her yesterday and asked her how she was doing, and she said, I'm actually feeling a lot better, because the meltdown that I had the other day, the panic attack, the crying, just allowing herself to completely melt that shit down, she felt like she released that energy that was all in her body, that toxic energy of the fear and the anxiety. She allowed that to run through her, allowed herself to have the meltdown, and then she literally said, I felt like I was in a better place to be more logical about what was going on and the decisions that I had to make in order to get through these things. Okay? So, yes, process your shit. Like, allow yourself to feel the emotions, because here's the analogy, if you have a beach ball, and I learned this from a podcast actually a long time ago, back in like 2017 maybe, when I started listening to podcasts. It's a life coaching podcast, the Life Coach School. Great stuff. You have a beach ball, and you try to keep it underwater. Like, here's a beach ball, you try to keep it underwater, and you can like manually keep it underwater for like a good amount. Like, you're just gonna sit there and hold it underwater, right? But like, it's gonna keep coming up, right? Yeah, okay. So like, eventually you're just not gonna be able to stand there for the rest of your life and hold it. So that beach ball is coming up. Okay? So the emotions that you're trying to suppress, you can only suppress and put so much physical and emotional energy into suppressing for only so long, until there's some point where that beach ball has to be released, okay? And when you release it, then what? You probably actually have a lot of beach balls. So like, how many beach balls can you actually physically suppress with the 2 hands that you have, maybe 2 feet, but like, how are you gonna do that? How are you gonna manage that? Okay, so that's what I thought. Allow yourself to feel the emotions. Like, you don't have to, if you're the type of person who needs to go and like punch things and break things and like scream and shout, you are in luck. There's good news for you, because they have, what are they called? I think they're called like destruction rooms or something like that. Not break rooms, so that would be different. But Google it. Like, you can even probably find a Groupon. It's like you literally go into a room and you pay to do this. You have to put on like, obviously, protective equipment and stuff. But you just go in there and you break shit. You literally smash things with hammers and things like that. You smash things, okay? If that's your way of processing, do it. There's a reason these things are here. Like, allow the emotions to run through you. If you need to sit in your room and cry, do it. If you need to go for a run or a walk to like the energy, just get that energy out, that toxic energy. I know that when I'm anxious, to the point where I feel paralyzed, what helps me, even though in the moment I'm like, I feel like I can't even do anything, like I can't even go to the gym, I can't run, I can't do anything, like all these things in my mind, I know for a fact from previous experience that when I go out for a run, like that anxiety, that energy is gonna leave my body, and I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna feel so much better. So like, if you need to physically get the energy out, go do something. It can be constructive and productive, like working out, or it can be destructive by like smashing things. So like, whatever it is, find out, ask yourself, what do I need in order to allow myself to experience these emotions, and then let go of them. Because if you're all clouded up with emotion, you can't make logical, rational decisions. Like, we are humans that, like, as humans, we have a logical side and we have an emotional side. And some of us, we teeter on one end or another. And our decisions are mostly emotional, and our decisions are mostly rational, logical, whatever. So what you can do is find out which one you are, okay? Do some introspection. How do you usually handle your emotions? How do you usually make decisions? How do you usually process things? And of course, we can go either way. Are you like impulsive in the moment where you act on how you feel? Like if you get a text that you weren't happy to get, that cause some sort of emotion in you, do you respond right away? Do you react and or something like that? Or do you, this is what I do, I've created a rule for myself. Do you put it away, ask yourself what you're feeling and what about it, that message is causing you to feel this way? And I have a rule where if I get any sort of message that is like, it causes some sort of negative emotion within me, anger, frustration, sadness, what have you, betrayal, just annoyance in general. First of all, you also have to check your physical state. Like, are you hangry? Is your blood sugar low? That's also like a real thing, because that will elicit a different response than if you are well-fed, well-nourished, and in a very content place in your mind. But also, like, I always have a rule where if there's any emotion that comes out, negative emotion, I wait at least 1 hour to respond or even think about formulating a response for that message. Because I know that my emotional mind will create some sort of irrational response. So if I am in a calmer state later on, when not at that moment when it's so, that emotion is so acute, and that's how a lot of that gets in the way of a lot of relationships. Communication, like healthy communication, friendships, things like that. Like, if you don't allow yourself to calm down, you allow that first emotional reaction to come out, you get yourself into trouble. So try that. Again, that's my rule personally, that I'll wait at least an hour. All right. And I know that I'll be in a better headspace. But anyway, that's beside the point. The whole takeaway here is just feel your emotions. You're allowed to feel your emotions. As long as you're not physically or emotionally hurting somebody else in that process of feeling your emotions, what is the stigma attached to that? Oh, a crybaby. Oh, they're so emotional. Oh, they're so dramatic. Like, you don't have to make it a public spectacle. Just do whatever you need to do to experience this emotion. And then just see how much better you feel afterwards, and how your mind, where your mind is before and after. And then you're going to clear that slate, be able to make whatever decision you need to make and move on. And then the next thing that comes your way that causes you to feel some sort of emotion that you're trying to keep under, it's just going to keep building and building. And it's like, if you're sweeping things under the rug and you just keep sweeping it under the rug, at some point there's going to be a big bulbous lump under that rug. That's pretty obvious, and somebody's gonna have to deal with that. So that somebody's gonna either be you or the people who are close to you, who when they lift up the rug at some point, they're gonna be like, what the hell is under here? All right, so you know what I'm saying? Yeah, using a lot of weird analogies, but we're done here. I just wanted to get on here and say that, because if I didn't, that would just be another balloon in my mind thinking about saying it and then not actually doing it. So we're changing that, and we're actually doing it. So whether you actually watch these videos or not, it's none of my business, because this is therapeutic for me as well. So well, if you ever do have a topic that you want me to expand upon, send it my way, if you want to. Otherwise, we're just going to go on these rambles. So